Hey, where were you in 1972? I remember where I was, and very much about my neighborhood, where I lived, who I wanted to be like, but more importantly, what I wanted to have. I wanted to have one of these. Welcome to Mini Bike Minute. There's a lyric from a song called American Pie, and that lyric is the year the music died. We're going to talk about the year that the Hardtail died. For the Z50, it became a Softail in '72, and for the CT70, it goes from a K0 to a K1 with a much beefier front suspension, much better ride. So looking at these two, this is the CT70. We're looking at the K0 on your right and my left, and we're looking at the K1 on your left and my right. So the K0 last year for this suspension, and very, very kind of a weenie front end here, sissy front end as they say in the Harley Dynaglide world. And then looking over at the K1, look at this much bigger, much beefier suspension. This suspension articulation stayed until 1979 that I know of. It all changed with a boot here, but it's the same basic insides that operate that. So you got the K0 and the K1. This is the 1972. And then over here, looking at the Z50s. So this is the Hardtail, 1971. As you can see, look at the suspension. There is none. That's why they call it the Hardtail. Very, very popular, bringing the most money most of the time. But right behind that and coming on real strong are the Softails 1972. So again, we've got a 71 and a 72, and look, same exact front end on both. But look carefully at that rear end. So you got a Hardtail over here that we talked about. Look at this Softail. That's what this is talking about. This is talking about this spring here, which brings in that soft ride. A few upgrades on this bike that didn't occur on the previous generation that we won't get into, but you can see the tank changed a lot, the body and frame changed entirely, and it's still the same reliable 49cc Z50 that made it famous and reliable in its original release. So wanted to show you these. A good friend of mine that's bought several bikes from me in St. Louis sort of gave me this idea. Jay gave me this idea, and he said, you know, he's collecting 72s. In fact, we're rebuilding a 72 for him right now. I just showed you a really incredible Survivor. Well, he bought a Survivor that's much rarer than that, and we're upgrading that for him. And then if you look over here at the 72, he actually bought this exact bike. This bike has been restored top to bottom twice in its lifetime. Just bought it recently on Bring a Trailer. You guys can see the ad there. He bought it from me. It's a fantastic bike, as beautiful in person as it is in the pictures. These are just great bikes. Something notable coming up in May. A great auctioneer, a multi-year world champion, TJ Freege, has an annual sale in May. We're going to be auctioning 50 of my bikes in that sale. As you can see, this room changed quite a bit. We sold off several bikes, and those bikes are either delivered or being delivered as we speak. I brought over I've got 100 fresh bikes ready to go. We're going to put 50 of those in the sale. And in that sale, we're going to have this 71, and we're also going to have this incredible unrestored Survivor 1972 K1. This is an HK1 that is in incredible condition. It is a 2,000-mile bike, but you can see a Survivor, a non-restored. Looks like they probably put a cover on the seat at one point, but an unrestored Survivor, aftermarket rear luggage rack there. But the rest of this bike has a ton of originality. Great Survivor. That's going to be featured in TJ's sale that's coming up in May. The 1971 and the 1972 were a critical year. because it changed from an engineering standpoint entirely for the Z50 especially. When you go from a hardtail to a softtail, no spring to a spring, it is a completely dynamically different experience for the rider. In fact, some older folks got involved in the game, some bigger bodies got involved in the game because it was an easier ride. These are great pit bikes as well. You know, they're great investments. And speaking of investments, the greatest investment I've ever made is choosing Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. You know why? There's an eternal dividend. There's an eternal dividend. There's nothing you can choose in life that will compare to an eternal dividend. Everything's temporary. These bikes, they go up for periods of time, 15, 18% year over year. But when you choose Christ, He's the one who made us. He made us the way we are, whether we like it or not. In fact, if we've got struggles, He allowed that. He's chosen it for us. And I got to say this about that. It would be an incredible thing that any of you would watch an episode of Mini Bike Minutes and think about God, the manufacturer of you, and think about Him in a way that would bring Him glory and not just you. Thanks for watching Mini Bike Minute. It's an awesome thing to spend time with you each week. You know, I wish I was 80 pounds again.
So is that bike.
Yeah. This bike wishes I was 50.